What's up, everybody? It's ColbiCheri and I am back again with another video. I am so sorry that I've been gone for 3 weeks. I can't even believe it. I looked at my channel today and I was like, wow, I haven't posted in 3 weeks. That's crazy how time flies. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just that I was traveling and then I just had some other stuff going on, and I've got a couple of videos to edit, and so I kind of have to catch up on that stuff. So I'm back. I promise I will not be gone ever again for that long, not anytime soon at least. Today I've got my wine with me, and I am going to be doing a video just to wrap up 2021 and talk about some of the things that I learned this year, because I learned a lot. It was a good year. A lot of good things happened for me, but it was also a tough year, and I feel like this was the first year that I actually feel like a real adult, like I'm a real ass adult out here. So it's crazy, but I would love to share a couple of things that I learned this year. And also, while sipping my red wine, I am starting to appreciate red wine. This is actually a sweet one, but even the bitter ones I'm starting to like, and I never liked red wine before until this past year. So I feel like the older you get, the more your palate changes and you start to appreciate other things like red wine. So I'm gonna advocate for wine. Take a sip. And if you're watching this at home, grab a glass and sip with me. Cheers. Cheers to making it through a tough year, okay? It was a trying year for me, and I feel like a lot of other people, especially these past couple of months, I've been going through it. It's been a season of changes and just weird things have been happening. But I'm back in action, and I'm excited for the new year, and I'm ready for what 2022 has in store for me. I was reflecting on the year, and so I jotted down just a couple of things that I learned this year. And so I'm kind of going to read what I got, and also just going off of what I just come up with as I'm talking. So number 1, embrace the journey of getting older. So growing older is a good thing. And this year I learned to focus on what you get as you grow older. Experiences, insight, knowledge, new opportunities and adventures, rather than focusing on what you've lost as you've gotten older. So this is a new one for me, because I would always think about being in my adolescent years when I was in my early 20s, living carefree. I didn't have to pay bills, I had no responsibilities, and could live life without a care in the world. And so I find myself always going back to those moments, always wanting to relive my youthfulness and the good old days. So when I turned 26 this year, I was apprehensive about it. And don't get me wrong, I was happy to be alive, but I was also afraid of the thought of growing old, because I'm used to being young, or at least what society considers young. And I was always the youngest in my friend groups when I hit my early 20s. So transitioning into a whole adult has been a difficult adjustment. Adulthood is hard work, it's tough. But this year is the first time I felt like an actual adult, and it's so crazy to me. So that's the first thing that I've learned. Well, just the most recent thing I've learned when I hit 26, which I would consider my maybe mid to late 20s. So with that being said, what I learned is that accepting yourself for the person you've become as you've grown older is a part of embracing your age. That means accepting myself as I am, as far as my physical appearance, energy levels, even emotional maturity, because I've definitely grown a lot in that area. It means embracing and accepting the reality that you may no longer look or act the way you did when you were younger, and being perfectly content with that. And I feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm just like, I'm accepting myself as I am 100%. Yeah, and just embrace getting older, because it's a blessing to be alive, and it's a blessing to be 26 years old. So I'm happy for that. So the next one I had to learn, and I'm still learning. I'm not 100% there yet, so I'm not gonna act like I am, but it is forgive others. That is so important. It really is. And I read this saying and have heard several people say it, that says, being angry and unforgiving towards someone else is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's like we spend all of these years being angry at someone and harboring these negative feelings over something someone said or did, while that person probably doesn't even give it a second thought. So like they're sleeping good at night while you're still upset about something they said or did years ago. And it ends up only affecting you, not the other person. Like that other person is good. They might not even know that they hurt you like that, but because you're holding on to that negativity, that pain, that hurt, you're only harming yourself by not letting go of it. You have to let go of it, and it's really not worth your peace to hold on to unforgiveness. So when you forgive, you allow yourself to move on, and it's not about the other person. And that's one thing that you have to remember. And I'm speaking to myself, really. It's not about them. So I feel like there was one point in time where I was thinking like, oh, well, this person hurt me, this person did this to me, so if I forgive them, like I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They don't deserve my forgiveness. But it's not about that person. It's not about them at all. Exclude them from the equation and think about yourself. The forgiveness is for you. So as difficult as it is, you have to decide one day to let it go and move on. And I believe it takes one day at a time. I think the first step is simply just waking up one day and choosing to forgive people or even yourself. Even if you don't think that you've reached that place yet to forgive that person, just wake up one day and choose forgiveness. And you will feel a lot better. I promise you, it'll feel like a weight is lifted off of you. All right, so this one is one that I have been going back and forth with myself for years and years, and I had to learn the hard freaking way because I never learn until it's too late. But it's okay. At least you learn the lesson, regardless of how long it takes. I learned the lesson. But it's do not force a relationship. You can't do it. If you're constantly fighting for a relationship to work, it's possible that the universe is telling you that it's not meant to be and that you should stop forcing it. I realize that sometimes holding on does more damage than letting go. A relationship is work, but I don't believe that it should be hard work. It should not be that hard to make a relationship work. I think it's a lot easier to let go once you learn how to emotionally detach, which is something I was dealing with for a very long time. When I attach, I get attached because it takes a long time for me to get to that point, or it's very hard for me to. So when I do, I'm attached. I'm all in, and it's like it's hard to let go. I've learned detachment, and yes, it's painful. It sucks. It really sucks. And it's difficult, but it is so necessary. I actually have a song that I wrote that talks about never learning my lesson till it's too late. Never learn my lesson until it's too late. Alone on my mind, I got too much to say. Memories in my head, I want to escape. I want to erase. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there right now. Eventually, I'm going to be dropping some new music, but back to things that I learned in 2021. Next thing I learned is focus on things you can control. Focusing on things you can't control is a waste of time and energy. And this is actually really hard to do. I know it is. But once I realized that focusing on things that I can't control was pointless and required too much of my energy, it became easier to do. It's a complete waste of time and effort to try and control everything that's not in your control. So stop focusing on what you can't control and instead focus on what you can. And that probably sounds cliche, but it's so real. It's so No. Next thing I learned is to say no. It took me so long to learn this because it was just so hard for me to do. I used to hate saying no to people because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. But I realized that saying yes when I actually meant no made me a doormat. It really made me a doormat to people, and it was like my voice wasn't being heard. And I think that it's not a healthy way to live, and it can affect your self-esteem and your confidence. So I can't please everyone. I've come to that conclusion. So if I feel like I want to say no to something, I'm going to say no. It's okay to say no. So I'm no longer afraid to say no. If I don't want to do something, if I don't agree with something, if I don't feel like something is right, I'm saying no. No. It's a no for me. No. I promise it's okay to say no. And when you start saying no to certain things and certain people, it gets easier. Take it from somebody that hated saying no. Like, for example, I used to work at this call center a couple years ago. I hated it. This girl used to always ask me for things. Like, every single day was something new that she'd ask me for. So the job that I worked at, they didn't offer like cups and plates and stuff like that for your lunch. So you'd have to bring your own plastic utensils. You'd have to bring your own cups, plates. If you needed things like that, napkins, you had to bring it. So I started bringing my own things. I would go with my little bit of money I had and buy just some supplies for work. I'd buy like knives, forks, spoons. I'd buy straws, things like that, and I just keep it at my desk to have with me every day because I brought lunch a lot of the times. And so I don't mind allowing you to borrow my stuff or give you a couple things every now and then, here and there, when you forget it. But it's like when you start asking me for it every single day, now I'm like, okay, now I just feel like you're taking advantage and you're asking for it because you know that I'm gonna give it to you. It's like we make the same amount of money, we work the same amount of hours, so you can go and get that stuff too. Like, why are you depending on me to give you stuff? That's not how this works. You can go to the store just like I did. So she would just always ask me for stuff back to back to back every single day, and it got to a point where it was like I started getting irritated because I'm like, I feel like you're using me and you're taking advantage of my kindness. But I'd be so scared to say no. And so I would always say yes, but I'd be so mad because I'm like, I know what you're doing. I'd be upset with myself because I'm like, I'm allowing her to do this. If I say no, then she will stop asking me. But because I was just so nice and so scared to say no because I didn't want to hurt her feelings or make her feel some type of way, I would say yes and be upset about it. When really inside, deep down inside, I want to say no. Leave me the hell alone. Stop asking me for shit. So that's a good example. That was a couple years ago. Now I'm the complete opposite. Like, no, I'm gonna say no if I'm not feeling it, if I don't want to. So no. And that's me talking to my younger self right now. Like, younger self, it is okay to say no. I promise, it's okay. Say yes. Now, this is the complete opposite of what I just said before. And when I say yes, I mean say yes to doing things outside of your comfort zone and to go for it. Say yes to the right things, not the wrong things, but the right things. So say yes to something like something new, experiences, someone new, new opportunities. Saying yes to your curiosity, saying yes to yourself, say yes to travel, say yes to the things that you love to do, push yourself, recognizing the times when you might normally hold back instead of going all in, and let go of all your excuses and just do it. I did this a lot this year, and I was so uncomfortable because I was afraid of being judged, not being good enough, and not being liked. And I just wanted to crawl back into my shell and say there's so many times, but I didn't, because I now realize that if I had let those self-sabotaging thoughts get the best of me, I would have never had the confidence to say yes to the things I've always wanted to do that I am doing now. And I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't done so. For instance, YouTube. If I would have said no to YouTube, if I would have stayed in my comfort zone, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all right now. So use that as motivation. I still have a long way to go, but I am further than I was before, and that's what matters. Get out of your comfort zone and say yes. And last but not least, follow your dreams. Dreams are what makes your entire life worth living. If you don't go for it, no one else will. Dreams are the fuel of your success. Without them, there can never be any meaningful and lasting success in your life. So every time I get scared about doing something I've always wanted to do, I go back to those reasons why I need to keep going and why it's so important to follow your dreams. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You follow your dreams. You'll get judged. You might fail. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us. It happens. That's all I'm gonna leave with y'all. I've learned so much this year. Like I said, this year was very interesting, and I'm happy to see what 2022 is going to bring. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see everybody in 2022. Bye. Your way, you'll find